What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I genuinely used to really enjoy listening to Howard Stern. In fact, really my first interaction with Howard Stern was on his television show. I used to be on late night, and I remember him bringing in these women and having them compete for implants and throwing baloney on them and having the Sibian challenge. I think he did that several times. Having absolute debauchery on his show. It was the height of absurdity, but you could also how could you not love it? But the man has turned into what can only be described as a bitter old withered husk of a man who feels like he needs to overcompensate now that he went from the rebel. Howard Stern went from the rebel, the guy who's always fighting against the FCC and all this stuff, to just another Hollywood elite. Just another guy that wants to rub elbows and do literally no work and collect money for being on yet another boring talent show that, for whatever reason, Americans still consume. Well, he's taken to a battle with Joe Rogan now. And he has told Joe Rogan to go F himself. He's fed up with Joe Rogan and all the idiots in this country who are skeptical of the poke. Again, as with any poke-related topic, I will, you, my viewer, will be reminded that I don't have any judgments whatsoever about what you do. It's not my position to tell people what to do. Also, my position on the poke stuff is, do it or don't do it. But constantly posting about it online or taking selfies while you're doing it, or, putting endless articles out, that are against it. Just do it or don't. I'm just over it by now. So Howard Stern, and again, Howard Stern, a leftist, elitist billionaire that, just thinks he's better than everybody. The thing with Rogan is that while he's super rich, he still kind of comes across as a regular dude. Stern just comes across as a complete a-hole. Joe Rogan once praised Howard Stern for being that MFer who opened the door for all podcasters. Stern might have wished he had kept it closed. That last week, the king of all media couldn't keep it together while discussing the trend of conservative radio hosts getting sick with the coof and taking back their anti-poke takes on their deathbeds. It's really funny when these radio guys are the best. They're 4 of them died. 4 of them were ranting on air, he said. They won't get it. It was day after day they were dying. And then their dying words were, man, I wish I had just gotten the poke. I'm pretty sure none of them said that, but whatever. Stern wants the poke to be mandatory. F them, F their freedom. I want the freedom to live. While Rogan, the quote-unquote new Howard Stern, he's not really the new Howard Stern. I may not be a fan of the man Howard Stern is now, but, Stern did way more, and Rogan, I'm sure, would agree. It's different. Rogan's show is a conversation. Stern's show was, while it was a conversation, he had the whack pack and he had all sorts of other crazy stuff going on. He's been dismissive of the poke and treated his recent coof with, of course, the horse paste, among other things that always get ignored. After being roundly mocked for taking literal horse medicine, it isn't. The Joe Rogan Experience lashed out at critics. CNN was saying, I'm a distributor of misinformation, Rogan said. I don't know what's going on, man. Howard Stern agrees with that. So this feud started 10 days ago. And now it's getting even worse. Howard Stern's listeners and Joe Rogan's fans are feuding on social media, and it's getting very ugly. Go F yourself. That was a message for Howard Stern, message to Joe Rogan and all the other idiots in this country. I heard Joe Rogan was saying, what are you busting my balls for? I took the horse paste. The doctor gave it to me. Well, a doctor would also give you the poke, so why take the horse stuff? Stern said on his radio show. He continued, we have no time for idiots in this country anymore. We don't want you. I'm not sure who we is there. I accept all my people around me, poked or not poked. All right. I think um it's such a weird position that we're in now. And I often think about how we let this whole thing get politicized. God, it's so frustrating. Like, get it, don't get it, okay? First of all, it's none of my business. I don't want to know. I don't want to talk about which brand you got. I don't care, okay? I'm not going to tell you whether or not I've done it because, again, it's none of your business. Whatever happened to like too much? Remember that Chappelle skit where like he was talking about was it about somebody asking him who he voted for? And he's like, "Whoa, hold on a minute. You're trying to ask me something personal. I'm telling you about banging my wife." You know, like we let the media do this to us. And I want to kind of lead the charge of just being like, look, do it or don't do it. But let's go back to not sharing everything online, and let's go back to not, moralizing, placing yourself above others because you feel that you've done some good. Why don't you just take, people would just take some solace and say, hey, look, I did this thing. I feel like it was the best thing to do, and move on with their life. No, you have idiots like Stern who are constantly losing their mind over it. We want you all either to go to the hospital and stay home and die there with your coof. Don't take the cure. It's not a cure. But don't clog up our hospitals with your coof when you finally get it. Stay home. Don't bother with science. It's too late. Go after yourself. We don't have time for you. And again, who's we? Because I know plenty of people who, in fact, everybody I know, like in real life, a lot of people are terminally online. Everybody I know in real life who has it has never like asked me if I have it. They've never told me I need to get it. They've never moralized about other people who don't get it. They just go about their business. And I think that this is actually the norm, right? But we see this stuff online and we think, wow, everyone must be like crazy obsessed. Now, Stern made those comments last week, but they're making the rounds on social media today, causing a rift between him and Rogan fans. It's an old media versus new media divide with fart jokes. Howard Stern evolved into a compassionate adult human who understands the responsibility of his platform. Yeah, real compassionate, telling people to just go home and die. Rogan still hasn't gotten to that point yet. While another Twitter user wrote, Howard is clearly envious of Rogan, as Rogan is the hot radio guy now, something Howard used to be a long, long time ago. Rogan might have the world's most popular podcast, but people seem to be taking the side of the guy who's pro getting poked rather than pro horse dewormer. To put it as Stern put it, F their freedom. But again, this is why this cult of weirdos. Do you think that you're going to convince literally anybody by deliberately lying, by deliberately always calling it horse paste? The battle of Stern this is a battle Stern is going to lose. Rogan has more pull with the crossover in their demographics. Well, yeah. Imagine thinking having a larger audience comprised of mostly creatine dude bros and incels who can't even spell liberty is winning the fight. I mean, are you really going to try to compare the content that Howard Stern pioneered to what Joe Rogan did? Not that Joe Rogan is changing the world, but I mean, certainly if we're going to talk about whose content is more lowbrow and whose listeners were probably more lowbrow, it's going to be Howard Stern. I mean, the idea is, the pro Joe, Howard Stern just needs to come to terms that his run was a historic one, though one based on today's standards and cancel culture never would have lasted. That's a fact. Joe Rogan is the present and the future for now. The crown was taken a few years ago. Howard just can't admit it. Or this says Howard Stern's unjustifiable comments about Joe Rogan show how arrogant, jealous, bitter, and elitist he's become. My respect for Howard is dwindling. He was once a man who fought against censorship and the establishment. Now he's become one of the loathed. At this juncture, the only way Grandpa Howard Stern can get his name trending is to talk about Joe Rogan. It's over. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I don't know what Howard Stern would have to be jealous about. The guy's a billionaire with a B. He's a legend. He's a, you know, even though he turned out to be, you know, kind of a hack now, he still, you know, paved the way for a lot of people. And I think the last time I covered this, you know, I was incorrect in saying that, like, you know, Howard Stern didn't influence me. He didn't influence me at all, but maybe people before me, or kind of like pioneering a format for, you know, the idea of commentary and going from, you know, a DJ to like an actual, you know, full-time entertainer. You know, there's a lot that he doesn't, that he did. Look, children, it's a falling star, make a wish. I don't know. I think it's pretty cringe for Howard, to be honest with you. And the rhetoric he uses is certainly not helpful at all. And it's a thing too that, you know, the coof doesn't affect the uber wealthy. The coof is not a thing that Howard Stern ever really has to deal with. Yet he talks about it like it's ruining his life, which of course is inauthentic as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Which side do you land on? Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to reading your comments in the comment section down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.